Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Indiana Basketball Hoosier Illustrated postgame recap. I realize I have the wrong graphic up right now. I realized a little late. Kyle was a little dark. I guess they shut the lights off at Assembly Hall. Let's change that graphic. That looks a lot better.
Looks a lot better.
But yeah, Indiana basketball dropped their, I think, fifth straight game, 70-67. Comes at the heels of the Mike Woodson retirement announcement. I think, Kyler, I think we should just start there. I know we'll get to the game and we're going to get to that in depth. Obviously, they shut the lights off at Assembly Hall where you are, which is why you're so dark at the moment. But Kyler, you were in the press conference. What was kind of, I guess, the vibe? You mentioned before we went live, there was kind of a note to the media.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously they came in and said we're not going to address that, so no questions were really asked about the statement that was released on Friday. But there's definitely a sense of change. There's definitely a different vibe within the program, in a certain way. Like, not to get too not graphic or whatever with it, but it just kind of feels like a funeral in a lot of ways, and people are just kind of accepting of what's going on, with it. So Mike Woodson, I mean, he straight up said, he's like, this year I've done a terrible job putting them in positions to win games. And he was pretty point blank about it and everything. And he says the team's been down a little bit and they haven't really, found any motivation or because of this losing streak and, the fans on social media and things like that. It's all kind of coming crashing down right now. And they're not really hiding away from the fact that Woodson is retiring or stepping down or whatever, but they also do recognize that there's 7 more games left, and they've got to continue to play, and they've got to continue to see what happens with this team and try to play better. And Mike Woodson, it's just, you got to continue to just go on with the season and whatnot, but it's definitely a very eerie feeling right now within the program. It was definitely a different atmosphere in Assembly Hall tonight.
Yeah, I think Mike Woodson's post-game quote was pretty telling for those who haven't seen. He said, he brought up the Illinois game, but he kind of said, he said word for word, I've done a terrible job at putting them in position to win. Seems like he's put a lot of blame on himself. I know the fan base has. And, today, I think you and I talked about it before the game. We were hoping, the announcement, this team would come out with a little more fight, and they didn't. Eventually, it took 20 minutes for them to come out with some energy and some fight. And by then, you're down 16, trying to claw yourself out of a massive hole. And, they were able to tie the game, but you can't put yourself in those positions where you need these, huge comebacks to try to get the game, manageable. And Indiana's done that all year. It did it against Wisconsin too. And it looks like the lights just came back on at Assembly.
Lights came on, but just like in the second half for Indiana, the lights came on, right? But that's been a consistent theme for this Indiana team all season. They've started off the game very, very slow, and obviously there's the ongoing joke of Mike Woodson always saying, hey, we started off with good intentions, and we thought we had good intentions to start the game. And, honestly, there was a lid on the basket for Indiana to start the first half, and Michigan's a very good offensive team, a very, very good offensive team, and they can score in a lot of ways. That front court between Wolf and Golden, phenomenal. Andy Wolf earned a lot of my respect today. Unlike
Jewish Jokic.
Yeah, he's huge. He's just so skilled, and that's what I think Mike Woodson wanted this, Ballo and Renew pairing to be like. Is exactly how Michigan uses them, how Dusty May uses that front court. But second half, Indiana easily could have just rolled over. They could have, down 16, they could have just quit. Whatever you want to say, nobody would have really even blamed them, I guess, at this point in the season. But they fought, and they got it to the tied game. They put themselves in positions to win the game. They just couldn't, make those winning plays towards the end. Yeah. It's just, they had good looks. That McKenzie and Baco 3 that was coming off the screen to hopefully tie the game, it did everything but go in. And Indiana fought on the defensive end. Michigan got some tough buckets. Wolf came in clutch for them down the stretch. It was a hard-fought game, but it shows you that this team is not quitting at all. And Mike Woodson mentioned it in the press conference that this team, even though they are struggling and they are going through this really, really rough stretch right now, they have good intentions. And he's like, man, these guys want to win. They really do. And it just hasn't clicked. And going down to these next 7 games, you hope that it does click, and you hope that they are making winning plays because Bryson Tucker showed really good stretches today. I thought Malik Renew was back to his full self a little bit, his first game to his full self, and Mackenzie Mbako continues to play really, really good basketball like he has the last few games. But it's tough, man. They had chances to win the game. They fought. You can't question their fight that they had in the second half. You just wish they would have started the game in the first half just a little bit better, so they weren't in that position to have to claw back and hopefully try to, make magic happen.
Yeah, I mean, this team it's Jekyll and Hyde is like the way I've kind of described this team to people who haven't watched Indiana basketball. When they're good, they're really good. I mean, we saw it against we've seen them compete against very good teams like Purdue. They probably should have beat Purdue, probably should have beat Maryland. Today was another game probably should have won, but then when they're bad, they're really bad. And that today was a perfect example. That first half was, the Hyde, the bad, the lack of effort, lack of attention, just poor rotations. I think Ant posted one. There was Bryson Tucker where he just kind of got lost and wasn't helping the helper. Just, the stuff the attention to detail just wasn't there at times. And those are the things that just kind of kill you. And it's been that way all season. And it's really frustrating when you look at this team. You brought in a bunch of talent, and then you look at like a game like tonight or today. You look at the guys, Indiana, the Hoosiers spent a lot of money on to bring in. Miles Rice today played just 12 minutes and was a non-factor. Umar Bala, only 20 minutes, mainly because Renew was playing so well. But again, was not really a factor. Luke Goody, played some good minutes. I think was a team high +7 today. And was probably the best of the transfers. Cannon Carlisle has been hurt, so haven't seen him in a while. But the lack of consistency from these guys. We've seen Miles Rice be great at times this year, but more often than not, we've seen him, be a non-factor. Mackenzie Mbako today is great. Today's game, honestly, was like the perfect definition of Mackenzie Mbako in his season. When he is awesome, he is really, really awesome. But when he's bad, he's really bad. In the first half, did not score a point. And 0 for 4 in the first half, didn't really do anything. Second half comes in, massive 15 points. It was a big reason why this game was even close. But it's being consistent, and the only thing consistent about this team is how inconsistent they are.
That's spot on. I'm gonna give a pass to Balo, Goody, that transfer group right there. I'm not gonna give a pass to Miles Rice at all. I'm actually going to be pretty harsh on Miles Rice. What I saw today, when Mike Woodson announced the retirement, Scott Dawson, Mike Woodson didn't necessarily announce it when Scott Dawson released that statement. Just to make that clear, you probably thought in your head, a lot of fans probably thought, this team's going to pack it up, or this team's going to rally together and they're going to play hard and they're going to try to send Woodson on a good note or whatever. Miles Rice looks like what I saw today. He looks like the guy that is packing it in. Yeah. It was pathetic what I saw on the basketball floor out of him. A guy that had a lot of hopes. When you look at the transfer portal class, besides Umar Ballo, he was the highest rated transfer that Indiana got this season. He was supposed to be the guard that was going to help take them to that next level. Yeah. He was going to be the guy that they had been missing for quite a while. And he's had really good games. I'm not going to discredit that at all. But I think he's had a lot more bad games than he's had good games, whereas Mackenzie Mbako, it's probably 50-50. You would look at his, and Miles Rice, he just doesn't show up, and he looks very, very lackadaisical out there. He looks very cool, calm, and collected. He doesn't look like he wants to make the winning plays. He makes some bonehead passes, decisions. What I saw today was pathetic. And I absolutely love the fact that Mike Woodson didn't play him in the second half because of the effort that he was showing on the floor. Very casual, very cool, and whatever. It's just, I know that's a little old school of me to think of that way and whatnot and be harsh on him like that. And I'm usually trying to be positive with everybody, but Miles Rice, it was just worthless, man. And I'm glad that he rode with the seniors of Luke Goody, Trey Galloway. I thought Trey, even though he had his moments, but Trey played a pretty good game today. Anthony Leal stepped up when he needed to step up. I'm glad that Mike Woodson went with those guys, the guys that were going to put in the effort, because Miles Rice just ain't it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Miles Rice is probably one of those guys, and I'm just speculating. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. With everything's going on, obviously we'll dig deeper into that as the season kind of continues. But he's got to be better than that, man. He's a very, very talented guard, one of the fastest guards in the Big Ten. He's got to be better. He has all the potential in the world, but the effort today was pathetic and it was poor.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Mike Woodson, I'm not starting Miles Rice next game against Michigan State. I just can't see how, with the effort and the lack of focus from him. I know didn't shoot the ball well, and you could point at that. Like, there's ways to affect the game outside of scoring the ball and offensively, and he doesn't do that at all. And Trey Galloway today, 3 of 11, 1 for 6 from 3, did not shoot the ball well. He hasn't shot the ball well a lot of times this year, but at least with Trey Galloway, he's going to play hard. And he's not going to be lackadaisical. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to look to pick his spots, and he's going to make some mistakes. We see the turnovers, we see the missed shots, but at least with him, he's going to be aggressive and playing to attack. And it's one of those things, you live with the bad with Trey Galloway because there's a lot of good that comes with it. And Miles Rice, it's right now there hasn't been any good, and it's the lack of it looks like lack of focus. I mean, you said lackadaisical is the perfect word to describe it. It looks like he's kind of just going through the motions out there at times, and he's such a talented player. Before the season, he was the guy I said was going to be the key to this team. I thought he had potential to not just be a good player for Indiana. I thought he had potential to be one of the best point guards in the Big Ten, and he's proven me very wrong so far. Or not even so far. He's proven me very wrong. I'm at a loss for words because I really expected Miles Rice to be good this year, and it's just been anything but for him.
Yeah,
for at least this recent stretch.
It's been very disappointing, disappointing, and I think we're going really harsh on Miles Rice, but at this point in the season, all's fair right now, and it's just Miles Rice has not been the guy, and he's not stepped up in the way that you wanted him to. Having Cannon Carlisle back would have been nice today, just for a simple from the defensive standpoint, but Miles Rice has not been good on defense. He's not been good at all, and it's annoying. It's annoying to watch because I've watched a lot of basketball. I've watched a lot of kids, at the high school level, a lot of recruiting stuff, and you see the potential in players, and you see what they can do at the next level. Mm-hmm. You see that with Miles Rice. You really do. You see that he can be a very, very talented guard. He can be an all-conference guard, and it just doesn't click, and he doesn't have that mindset to lock in, and he just wasn't locked in at all, getting beat on defense, missing layups and crazy passes. Just doesn't help you win, man. But they got 7 games left. Hopefully he can kind of lock in stuff. Hopefully this is kind of a wake-up call for him to step up a little bit, but it's tough to say, right? It's tough to say with a lot of this team, and it's just a lot of lost hope in a lot of ways.
I think the thing that I guess bothers me and frustrates me the most when you look at this team is we're praising guys for playing hard. That's the bare minimum. We should not be, if we're at the point at where we are praising players just for playing hard, not for making shots, not for making great plays, just for playing hard. And that says everything you need to know about this team. And it's, it starts from the top with Woodson. The fact that, it's a struggle to get this team to play a full 40 minutes and to play hard for 40 minutes. And it's kind of a joke, honestly, at this point in the season that, playing hard we're praising guys for it. That just should never be the case in any level of basketball.
Yeah, I agree, man. But at the same time, it's these next 7 games, and this is probably the last thing I'll say, and then we can kind of close it here. But these next 7 games, I just want to see this team kind of play with fight. I want to see them play with pride. I want to see them play for their coach, honestly. Mike Woodson, he's in a really, really tough spot right now. And, a lot of fans are really hard on him, really harsh and everything. This is probably something he didn't want to do if we had to really guess it, because there's a guy that loves Indiana basketball, and that's a guy that wanted to get Indiana basketball back to the top. And it's very hard. So I just hope that moving forward, these next 7 games, making the Big Ten tournament, hopefully they don't miss that, because that would be a very, very embarrassing thing for the program. Just hope that they lock in and they compete and just don't get rolled over and show what they saw in the second half. So we got 7 games left, and the month of February is still rolling on in the Big Ten tournament. So who knows what could happen in these next 7 games, but just got to see fight and just got to see pride. And I want to see a lot of good things that hopefully the guys that maybe do return next year can kind of build off of. and roll into the next era of Indiana basketball.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a full podcast, I think, probably out either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, talking about our thoughts on Woodson's retirement, overall this season, potential candidates for the future. All of that's going to be on HoosierIllustrated.com on this YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you're doing that. I think it should be posted by now. Mike Woodson's, press conference from today.
Yep.
If you haven't watched that, highly recommend you watch that because a lot of interesting quotes. He talked, pinpointing where he thought the season kind of has spiraled from. So a lot of that. Also on the HoosierIllustrated.com, Ant Wright. I'm sure many of you who are following us follow him as well. He wrote a really good story talking about kind of what's next for Indiana basketball. So check that out, give that a read, and HoosierIllustrated.com. We got you covered for everything. Thank you for listening and watching to the Hoosier Illustrated post-game wrap-up show. We'll be back.